Hi, I'm Alex Vinal. I'm the Managing Director of Air Social Marketing and I'm also a member of Woking Works. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the first Woking Works COVID-19 Recovery webinar. So over the coming weeks, we're going to have a series of short, bite-sized webinars to help Woking businesses get through the current COVID-19 crisis and help plan, most importantly, for the future. This first session will cover the support available to businesses, which although well publicised, it's still generating a lot of questions and a lot of queries. So for this session, we've put together 3 panellists who I'm sure will bring us all some clarity and insight into the subject. At the end of the webinar, we'll put up a slide of their contact details should you need any further information. So first up, I'd like to introduce Councillor Kevin Davis. He was elected in 2012. Kevin is a ward member for the Heathlands. Kevin is also a member of the executive portfolio holder for promoting the local economy, climate change, environment and sustainability, waste and recycling, and IT. Also, Councillor Kevin is also an experienced IT consultant. I'd also like to introduce Richard Butcher. Richard has been a business advice consultant for 21 years now. He's also been working with Woking Borough Council and Woking Works since 2009. He's provided an enormous amount of advice to business startups. Plus, he regularly works with Coast to Capital LEP in East Surrey and West Sussex. Richard also has his own business growth consultancy called Stratagems Business Solutions. And last but not least, we have Chris Norrington. Chris here heads up the Business Liaison Unit for Woking Borough Council, who, with responsibility for Woking Works partnership between the council and key businesses from the borough. Chris also has 25 years experience in events, hotels and hospitality and catering sector, and has run his own event management company. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the questions and hopefully get some answers to some of the questions we've all been wanting to know about. So, Kevin, Woking's been working with over 5,000 businesses based within the borough, most of which have been adversely affected by COVID-19 and the lockdown. So tell us, what's the council doing now to support these businesses through this really challenging period?
Yes, I mean, Woking Borough Council has long been a proactive supporter of our local economy through many initiatives such as Woking Works, Celebrate Woking and We Are Woking. And I'd really like to thank the officers of the council that have gone to extraordinary lengths to support vulnerable people and get money out to businesses as efficiently as possible.
Fantastic. So sort of tell us a bit more then about what's the council been doing, you know, rate relief, what's it all about?
Yeah, so Woking's retail, hospitality and leisure businesses have saved £18.3 million by not having to pay business rates for this year.
Gosh, that's a lot. And sort of for the smaller businesses, what have you managed to do?
Yeah, for our smaller businesses, we've managed to, as of the 10th of May, pay out 12.1 million of small business rate grants to 862 local businesses. These businesses have received either a £25,000 or £10,000 grant, depending on the size and rateable value of their premises. We are actively contacting the remaining businesses to release the remaining funds. If you are in a premises which received 100% rate relief last year, you may be eligible for a grant, so please check our website for details.
So which website should people check? Is that the Woking Borough Council or Woking Works?
So the Woking Borough Council website, under its coronavirus information page, has a lot of information, not only for residents, but also for businesses, and it's well structured.
Fantastic. I've also just heard, though, that the government's just announced some new top-up grants. Can you tell me a bit more about what this means?
Yes, the new top-up grants. I mean, we are actually, it's so new, we are still waiting for final guidance ourselves. But the total funding is comparatively small, and we'll only be able to help those businesses in greatest need. And we expect the demand for these grants will probably far exceed our allocation.
Right. So what's next then?
Well, Chris and his team, we are working on the post-COVID recovery planning stage, which will be absolutely essential as we gradually unlock the borough in line with government guidelines. Our priorities are ensuring people can feel safe, social distancing requirements are adhered to, and that safe hygiene practices are followed across the borough.
So, Chris, kind of over to you then. Is there anything you kind of want to add from the council's sort of business liaison perspective?
Through Woking Works and its partners, we'll be supporting as many local businesses as possible. We have both formal council support and wider support available from our partners, which include accountants, legal practitioners, IT providers, and sales and marketing professionals, all of which are ready to speak to local businesses about their areas of expertise and the services they offer. We've recently released a business survey which is indicating that businesses are looking for support and advice around topics such as financial planning, strategy planning, marketing, and upskilling in IT.
Okay, great. So, I mean, it's brilliant, but if I'm a Woking business and I want to get advice and guidance, do you have a specialist website or portal? Where can I get this from?
You know, WokingWorks.com is effectively a one-stop shop for all the business-to-business information a business will need from both local and national sources. The key thing will be for you to register your business on the website, which means we can keep in touch with you about developments, support initiatives, and get you listed on our free online Woking Works directory. We are updating the whole site to reflect the current needs of businesses and expect it to go live soon.
So
and obviously, don't forget the Woking Borough Council website, which has plenty of information.
Great. So just to recap then, so if you're a Woking business, the best thing to do, go onto the Woking Works website, register in the directory, and the Woking Works website will keep you updated as well as the Woking Borough Council website.
Yeah, that's correct.
Fantastic. So in terms of then, Richard, so for regional information, tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, that's really important because obviously the government's giving a lot of national support, but at regional level there's lots of additional support as well, particularly from the local enterprise partnerships. So those are Enterprise M3 and Coast to Capital. So I would recommend having a look and seeing what support is available for your business, as it does vary from region to region. Also on the government.gov website, just type in COVID-19 and there's a plethora of information. Particularly helpful is an online diagnostic tool which asks you a number of questions about your business and then will automatically produce a report with all the different support that's available relevant to that business.
Oh, fantastic. So we've talked a lot about the support available from Woking Borough Council, Woking Works. So is there more support available to businesses directly from the government via the local enterprise partnerships? Richard, you're a growth advisor, so you must be seeing the wider picture of support that's available for businesses from many more sources as well.
Yes, I have, Alex. I mean, from the perspective of working for the Coast to Capital LEP as a business advisor, I've talked to dozens of businesses and seen hundreds of impact assessments that we've done. So we have a very clear understanding of what support has been taken up by companies, but it's worth just running through those. First of all, for self-employed people, which makes up the majority of small businesses, there's a self-employment tax deferment scheme. So to help alleviate cash flow pressure, you can postpone your tax payment this summer, the advance payment until next January. And also the self-employment payment scheme has now launched, and that's paying businesses within a few days now, so that's working very effectively. Furloughing is, of course, uppermost in most companies' minds. I think over 75% of UK businesses have indicated that they're using it, and that's just been extended until September. However, from August, businesses need to start thinking about their cash flow, because they'll be asked to contribute from August to some of that payment. And I think we need to keep an eye on, the employment situation and that position. VAT deferments are also available from HMRC, who are taking a very sympathetic view to helping companies with their cash flow. And then, of course, famously on the loans that are available, the Sybil scheme came under a lot of pressure, but is now levelling out. That's generally being applied for larger companies with multi-million-pound turnovers. But for most businesses now, the bounce back loan scheme has frankly been a godsend. And I think it's helping businesses move into the recovery phase, knowing that they can borrow up to £50,000 very quickly without having to go through lots of processes or produce business plans or financial forecasts, and with no interest for the first year, and then only 2.5% thereon for 5 years. And the fact there's no repayments for the first year, a lot of them are taking it. We're advising them even as a contingency plan, just to make sure they get through these uncertain times. And of course, most recently, there's the top-up scheme, which is for the people who've fallen through the cracks, which of course Kevin mentioned earlier.
Yeah, there are still some gaps, aren't there? I mean, that's quite a comprehensive list of support, but with small limited company owners who are also directors, paid by a combination of PAYE and dividends, I'm just wondering what support's available for them.
Yes, you're correct there. The government are still to address, if they will address, some of the obvious gaps, particularly being lobbied by the Federation of Small Businesses, who calculate it could be up to 5 million. So it's a very significant portion. I mean, directors can furlough themselves, but they're not allowed to work in the business if they do that. So of course, that's a bit of a conflict. So we'll see how that moves.
Okay, great. So another thing really is that, so a lot of businesses rent their premises. I rent my premises. And I've read a lot about people, everyone's feeling very worried about future rent payments. Is there any help for that side of things for businesses?
Well, it's a really critical issue, because looking at their cash flow, they're looking at what are their biggest costs, and after salaries, usually it's rent. Mm-hmm. And so we're advising companies, if they need to, often they don't need to talk to the landlord and hope that they'll be sympathetic, and that it's a symbiotic relationship. If they've got no income and they have to pay rent, then they're more likely to fail, and then the landlord's going to have an empty office. So have a dialogue with your landlord. Don't be scared. They will be expecting it, I promise you.
So what's the position if a landlord and tenant, okay, they've tried to have a conversation, they can't agree, maybe a bit of a fallout over it. Can the landlord then evict the tenant for non-payment of rent?
No, they can't, Alex. The government has brought in new legislation to protect commercial tenants for the next 3 months, which I'm sure will be reviewed as part of the ongoing support packages.
That's great. And obviously Woking Borough Council, it's also a landlord for many businesses within the borough. So sort of how's the council managing that side of things?
Our colleagues in the States will be speaking to our tenants about their individual situation and looking to find mutually acceptable solutions for both parties.
That's brilliant. So Richard, sort of early on, you mentioned you work for the local enterprise partnerships. I don't really think businesses know really what these are, what they do. So sort of perhaps you can let us know what they are and what they're doing to support businesses through the crisis at the moment.
Yes, of course. Well, they're devolved from government to work at a local strategic level with stakeholders such as the local authorities, the membership organisations like the local chambers, to gain an understanding of what the business needs are, where governments can support at a local level. And they do this to produce a regional strategic plan looking at the economy, the environment, and so forth. And from that, they produce a local industrial strategy to get really strong implementation of the findings of that. Within each LEP, there's also a growth hub, which is where we provide support directly to businesses locally. And of course, recently, that's revolved around the recovery stage from this dreadful virus. So we've been providing one-to-one counselling, providing advice on producing cash flow forecasts, interpreting the government schemes, and so forth. In particular, where each local authority is looking at the vulnerable sectors with a different landscape. So in Sussex, Surrey, tourism and hospitality are a particular concern, particularly with the seasonality, critical to the survival of those business. So as an example, we've also been providing webinars with industry experts to look at how they can develop a sustainable recovery.
Can I just mention one thing for Woking businesses? Our associated partner is the Enterprise M3 Growth Hub, and we do a lot of work with them to support businesses.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, thank you. We wanted to keep this webinar short, focused. I hope we've achieved that today. I think we're going to plan more webinars over the coming weeks, covering more specific subjects. I really think we need to touch on financial planning, the legal considerations of furloughing, working from home, planning for business post-lockdown. I mean, there's a lot. And most importantly, sort of relaunching Woking and its businesses. So if you're listening today and you've got any questions or suggestions for future webinars, just email us. The email addresses are at the end on the slides of the session. And yeah, just to take one last opportunity, thank you so much, Councillor Kevin Davis, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Chris Norrington, really appreciate you joining us. Thank you for your advice and guidance. And as well to Richard Butcher, really appreciate you giving us this intel during this webinar. So final slide that we'll show shortly, that's the contact details for Woking Works. Don't forget, if you are a Woking business listening to this, get yourself on the Woking Works website, register on the business directory. There'll be loads of support on there, advice, guidance, signposting where you need to get information from, and also the contact details for Councillor Kevin, Richard, and indeed Chris Norrington. So thank you very much to everyone, and we look forward to joining you on more future webinars.